Have you ever started something with incredible energy? Maybe you decided you were finally going to exercise every morning, study consistently, build a new skill, start a business, or completely change your routine. On the first day, you felt excited. You imagined the future version of yourself. You felt like this time would be different. Then a few days passed. The excitement became weaker. The task started feeling harder. You began telling yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow." And eventually, the goal that once felt so important became something you barely thought about. It can feel like your motivation simply disappeared. But motivation usually doesn't vanish for no reason. There is a psychological process behind it, and understanding that process can change the way you approach your goals. Imagine a simple stick figure standing in front of a giant staircase. At the top is everything he wants: better health, more knowledge, a successful career, a creative project, a better life. He looks at the top and feels excited. But then he looks at the entire staircase. Hundreds of steps. Suddenly, the goal doesn't feel exciting anymore. It feels exhausting. This is one of the first reasons motivation can disappear. The distance between where you are and where you want to be can feel overwhelming. Your brain doesn't experience a huge goal as one simple action. It can represent hundreds or thousands of individual actions. Get fit isn't one action. Learn English isn't one action. Build a successful channel isn't one action. These goals contain countless smaller behaviors. When the mind focuses too heavily on the final result, the first step can feel insignificant. The stick figure looks at the staircase again. Instead of climbing, he sits down. Nothing is physically stopping him. The problem is that the goal feels too large. This is why reducing the size of the first action can make such a difference. Instead of saying, "I need to study for 3 hours," the goal becomes, "I'll study for 10 minutes." Instead of, "I need to completely transform my health," it becomes, "I'll take a short walk today." Instead of, "I need to finish this entire project," it becomes, "I'll work on the first small section." The objective isn't to trick yourself. It's to make the starting point psychologically manageable. And that leads to another important reason motivation disappears. Sometimes we expect motivation to come first. We think, "Once I feel motivated, I'll start." But in many situations, the relationship works in the opposite direction. Action can create motivation. Picture the stick figure sitting at a desk. He doesn't feel like working. A small thought appears above his head. Just 5 minutes. He opens the laptop. He starts. 5 minutes become 10. 10 become 20. Something changes. The task hasn't magically become easy, but starting has removed the psychological barrier of beginning. This is why waiting for the perfect feeling can keep you stuck. Motivation isn't always a powerful emotion that suddenly appears. Sometimes it develops after you begin moving. Another major factor is something psychologists call self-efficacy. In simple terms, self-efficacy is your belief that you can successfully perform a particular action. Imagine two stick figures looking at the same mountain. One says, "There is no way I can climb this." The other says, "I've climbed smaller hills before. I'll take it one section at a time." They are looking at the same mountain, but their expectations are different. When you repeatedly attempt something and experience small successes, you create evidence that you are capable of taking action. But when you repeatedly set huge goals and fail to maintain them, you may start developing the opposite expectation. You begin thinking, "I never stick to anything." That thought can become more discouraging than the original task. This is why small wins matter. Not because they magically transform your life overnight, but because they provide evidence. You completed the workout. You finished the page. You practiced the skill. You worked for 20 minutes. Each completed action tells your mind, "I can do this." And sometimes that evidence is more powerful than positive thinking. But there's another problem that quietly destroys motivation: constantly measuring yourself against the final result. Imagine the stick figure working on a drawing. After 10 minutes, he looks at it. It doesn't look perfect. He compares it to the finished artwork in his imagination. Suddenly, his progress feels worthless. He puts the pencil down. This happens in real life all the time. Someone starts learning a language and compares themselves with a fluent speaker. Someone begins exercising and compares themselves with someone who has trained for years. Someone starts creating videos and compares their first video with a successful creator's 1,000th video. The comparison creates a psychological illusion. You are comparing your beginning with someone else's accumulated progress. And when the gap looks enormous, motivation can collapse. A healthier approach is to compare your current behavior with your previous behavior. Did you understand something today that you didn't understand last week? Did you practice when you normally wouldn't? Did you complete one more small task? Progress becomes easier to notice when the measurement is realistic. There is also another reason motivation disappears: too much friction. Imagine two stick figures. The first wants to exercise. His shoes are beside the door. His clothes are ready. The workout is already planned. The second wants to exercise too, but his shoes are somewhere in the closet. He hasn't decided what workout to do. He needs to search for an exercise video. He doesn't know how long he should train. The workout hasn't even started, and he has already made several decisions. The more unnecessary friction surrounding an action, the easier it becomes to postpone it. This is why making the desired behavior easier can be more effective than constantly demanding more discipline from yourself. Prepare the materials. Choose the time. Reduce unnecessary decisions. Make the first step obvious. You aren't manipulating your brain. You're simply designing your environment so that the behavior you want requires less effort to begin. And then there is perhaps the most misunderstood part of motivation. Motivation naturally fluctuates. You will not feel equally energetic every morning. You will have days when you're excited. You'll have days when you're tired. You'll have days when your attention is somewhere else. That doesn't automatically mean you've lost your ambition. It means you're human. Imagine the stick figure walking along a road. Some days the sun is shining. Some days it is raining. Some days he walks quickly. Some days he walks slowly. The important thing is that his progress isn't dependent on every day feeling the same. This is where consistency becomes different from constant motivation. Consistency doesn't mean performing perfectly every day. It means returning after imperfect days. You miss one workout. You return the next day. You have an unproductive afternoon. You continue tomorrow. You lose focus for a week. You start again. The ability to restart is often more important than the ability to maintain perfect motivation. So if your motivation has disappeared recently, don't immediately conclude that you're lazy. Ask a different question. Is the goal too large? Is the first step unclear? Are you expecting motivation before action? Are you measuring yourself against unrealistic standards? Is there unnecessary friction making the behavior harder? Or have you simply been expecting yourself to feel motivated every single day? The stick figure returns to the staircase. This time, he doesn't stare at the top. He looks at the first step. He takes it. Then another. Nothing dramatic happens. There is no sudden transformation. But slowly, the distance begins to shrink. And that is the deeper lesson behind motivation. You don't always need more inspiration. Sometimes you need a smaller starting point, clearer expectations, realistic progress, and the willingness to continue even when the excitement isn't there. Motivation can help you begin, but meaningful progress is often built by what you do after the motivation becomes quiet. Because the goal isn't to feel motivated all the time. The goal is to build a way of moving forward that still works when you don't.